This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
The political battle for Braddon is heating up. The Liberals are revealing a fresh-faced candidate for the March state election, while Labor is pinning its hopes on a $30 million promise for Cradle Mountain.
There's still no date set for the state election, but the bout for Braddon has begun. The Liberals pitching 27-year-old plumber Felix Ellis as its new candidate.
I come to it very green, but with a lot of hopes and aspirations for what we can do.
The newcomer wants to take Labor's only seat in the electorate, but the opposition claims the government is leaking votes when it comes to health.
Health will be the number one issue. It is the number one issue coming up with us when we're door knocking, when we're talking to people in the community.
Bed block and under-resourcing claim to be the main problems. The government denies any red flags.
More nurses in our hospitals. We've secured the Mersey Hospital, some $730 million investment.
But Labor's campaign is launching off a different base entirely, a $30 million promise to build a cable car for Cradle Mountain if elected. Only problem is the project costs $60 million and it will be up to the federal government to cough up the difference.
We want to see this project realised. Obviously it needs more money from the federal government for it to be completed, but our $30 million is on the table.
With the season for election sweeteners now in full swing, there's one new factor the major parties will need to contend: the Jackie factor.
Jackie Lambie, is of course very popular, and I have no doubt that she will be able to draw a lot of support.
Although the Liberals doubt she will make a dent.
No threat.
Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmanians have joined national protests highlighting the crisis on Manus Island. Advocates say conditions have deteriorated and asylum seekers should be evacuated, not housed on another part of the island.
Hundreds turning out to voice their anger and concern about the situation on Manus Island.
Refugees are welcome here.
Advocates calling for asylum seekers to be immediately evacuated.
Resettlement can happen later, but evacuation to Australia needs to happen now because we can't keep the people safe on Manus.
Tensions had been building. In the last week, PNG police confronted asylum seekers who were refusing to leave the now closed detention centre. The UN Refugee Agency raised concerns of violence during the forced removal, a claim authorities say is inaccurate and exaggerated. The government says the centre has now been cleared, with the people in alternative accommodation. Advocates say it's not suitable.
Now they've been put into unfinished dwellings in the middle of Lorengau town on Manus, which is actually at least partly hostile to them and a dangerous place for them.
Tasmanians joined a national day of action urging politicians to act. Protests held in every capital, including this rally in Melbourne, backing the plight of refugees.
They've all suffered, and often, suffered abuse and imprisonment and have had to run for their lives.
Despite public pressure, the government maintains those on Manus will never be brought to Australia.
We've stopped the boats, we've restored the security of our borders. We are not going to ever outsource our borders, our sovereignty to people smugglers.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Conservationists are furious following new footage that shows people four-wheel driving in the Arthur Pieman area. They say the significant Indigenous cultural location is being destroyed under our government's watch, but Jeremy Rockcliffe says it's the responsibility of recreational users.
It's evidence such as this that's heartbreaking for many Tasmanian Aboriginals and conservationists. It shows quad bikes driving recklessly across sites of Indigenous cultural heritage.
Once these heritage sites are destroyed, through the process of four-wheel drive quad bikes running over them, there's no putting them back. So it's devastating.
It's as if Indigenous people had just left last week because the wild and natural environment is still there.
This local photographer and long-time visitor of the area says the behaviour of some recreational users is becoming increasingly destructive.
The physical damage that the vehicles do, and also the ease of access allows damage which doesn't happen just through the walkers that go up.
Any vandalism in any area of Tasmania is condemned by this government.
The Wilderness Society says it places the blame squarely on the Premier and is calling on the government to crack down.
clear and affirmative action to both investigate and prosecute these people, but also remove the infrastructure such as the barge which sits on the Tarkina coast so that this can't happen again.
It claims the Liberals' push to reopen 3 tracks in the Arthur Pieman Conservation Area is a ploy to score votes in Braddon. The government is currently appealing the Federal Environment Minister's decision to keep them closed.
We want people to experience our wonderful, not only our wonderful hospitality, but also our wonderful environment. But we all need to do so responsibly, and that's the key. We value our natural and cultural values.
To stand there and see a four-wheel drive past and know that practice will destroy Aboriginal heritage, therefore destroy that ability for us to pass on our culture and pass on those stories, that's more than devastating.
The tracks were closed to recreational use in 2012. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Australia's research vessel, the Investigator, has returned to Tasmania, fresh from a mission in the Great Australian Bight. On board were some special passengers on a trip of a lifetime, 20 postgraduate students getting a taste of a future career in marine research.
Back on dry land in Hobart after a journey they won't forget. 20 postgraduate students relishing a 2-week experience on the Investigator.
It was absolutely incredible. I've never had the opportunity to be at sea before, and to actually get to experience that through a career that I love was just amazing.
I didn't really know what to expect on a voyage like this. I've never had an opportunity like this, and it just completely blew my mind. It was just fantastic in so many different ways.
The voyage took them from Western Australia through the Great Australian Bight, getting a rare first-hand experience of marine research.
We did a bunch of observations starting from sediment cores, sediment grabs, rock dredges. We measured temperature, salinity, took plankton samples.
12 universities were involved in the Capstan program, mentoring the next generation of marine researchers.
We really need to make sure that the next generation of marine scientists are equipped to handle the big questions that are coming: climate change, managing resources, etc.
I've always wanted to be a marine scientist since I was a young child, and going on a research vessel and getting some real fieldwork experience in the middle of the Southern Ocean has just completely reinforced that so much.
But as well as the fieldwork, nature put on a show as they rounded the Tasmanian coast.
Yesterday was fantastic. We got to the western side of the Tasmanian coast and we saw a pod of about 80 albatross sitting in the water, dolphins, whales.
The Investigator's next major voyage is in January. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Autism charity Lend a Hand to Hugo is offering those with disabilities the opportunity to play cricket in an all-inclusive environment. The All Abilities program has already attracted some big names, with Tasmanian cricketers taking part to teach children with disabilities about their sport.
8-year-old Hugo is in his element on the cricket pitch.
Hey, good job.
But being on the autism spectrum, playing in a mainstream team can prove challenging. Now there's a program designed so children just like him can hone their skills on the pitch.
Tried to narrow down all their struggles and create an environment where they can really thrive and be at their best.
Not only autism but other disabilities have the opportunity, just like every other child has, opportunities with sporting teams and being part of a team.
The All Abilities cricket program is being trialled in Hobart over summer and was developed with contribution from Cricket Tasmania and Cricket Australia. There's some other big names involved, with grade cricketers and Tasmanian clubs signing up as ambassadors.
We'll be going through skills, lots of drills and just getting the kids involved and excited about cricket. I think, summer it's the time of year you always associate with cricket, so I think everyone, regardless of their background, deserves to have a chance.
The end goal for this will be to let kids develop into, a mainstream program.
It's run by Hugo's uncle Luke, who founded the charity to raise awareness and provide support for those with autism and their families.
If one needs a bit of time out or anything like that, they take it, no one looks at them, judges them, stares, anything like that.
It promotes a non-judgmental and fun environment to ensure everyone gets a go.
they're starting to help each other in their weaknesses, but also their strengths.
You just see them running Wednesday afternoons, and they all run and meet each other and high five, and they're really excited.
I love the cricket.
The program runs on Wednesday afternoons. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The top drops have been revealed at the Royal Hobart Wine Show. After an intense tasting process involving 1,680 wines, the judges made their picks. The best local white is the Bay of Fires Pinot Gris. The Dalrymple Pinot Noir was named as the best Tasmanian red, and the House of Arras 2008 Vintage Blanc de Blancs swept up a bevy of prizes, including the best sparkling, best Tasmanian wine, and the Chairman's Trophy for best wine in show.
Tasmania is celebrating its first win of the Sheffield Shield season. The Tigers managing to take out South Australia's last 5 batsmen on the final day of play to win by 142 runs. Sam Rainbird doing the damage for the visitors, firstly taking the wicket of Cameron Valenti before sending home the Redbacks' last big hitter, Callum Ferguson, on 94. Bo Webster sealed the deal with the last wicket of the day. The Tigers' next match is against New South Wales on December 3. Zhang Ji Li has taken out the Tasmanian Open Golf Championship. Jordan Garner had been on top leading into the last round, but Zhang Ji Li evened the score, then took the shootout. In the women's, Grace Kim from New South Wales maintained her lead, shooting 2 under par. The freshly crowned Tasmanian amateur champion adding the Open title to her haul. Isabel Taylor finished second on the women's leaderboard. And finally tonight, clay target shooters have tested their mettle at one of the state's biggest competitions, the Northern Midlands Classic. Despite heavy rain on the range, Alex Towns was named the men's top gun, while Vicky Johnstone claimed the title in the fast-growing women's field. Locked and loaded. Dozens of the sharpest shooters zero in on the clay for the Northern Midlands Classic.
Hold.
The title brings together some of the sport's keenest eyes.
It's simple, really. It's practice. Lots and lots of practice. I'd probably go through 30,000 shells every 3 months.
Paul Hedwig is here from New Zealand. Despite taking up the sport later in life, Hedwig is a demon at dusting clays. But he says wet weather makes this game much harder.
You have visibility for the target, so sometimes you get a black target on a black background and it makes it pretty difficult.
The sport's biggest growth has come from the ladies division. Vicky Johnstone is one of the best in the business.
Hold.
She picked up the sport at a casual come and try day and never looked back.
When you break a clay, it's just, and when you break an exceptionally hard clay, it's a buzz. It's like an adrenaline rush, I suppose.
She says the best thing the sport can do is allow women and men to compete under the same umbrella.
It's something you can be equal. There's a lot of sports where we can't be equal with guys. You don't have to have muscle, you don't have to have power. So it's something that we can be on an equal footing with.
Good evening. We saw widespread showers today with isolated thunderstorms about the west in the afternoon. Hobart reached a top of 23 degrees. It was 21 in Launceston, 19 in Burnie and 20 in Devonport. Around the state, temperatures were generally 2 to 4 degrees above average today. 25 degrees was the state's high at Flinders Island. St Helens and Bushy Park both 22. It was 21 at Grove, 20 at Strawn and 19 degrees at Low Head, Wynyard and Maria Island. The satellite images show extensive middle and high-level cloud over the state, with the trough extending into central Australia. We can also see some thunderstorms over Victoria as well as along that central trough. Zooming in, a closer look at that widespread cloud extending from the north. Tomorrow, a high-pressure system sits to the west of the state with a cold front clipping the south, while a trough moves away from the northeast, extending through the east of the mainland. On the coast, northwest to southwesterly winds 10 to 20 knots, shifting southeast to southwesterly through the afternoon and evening. Swells to 2.5 metres in western and southern waters. Now let's take a closer look around the state tomorrow. A morning shower or two for Hobart, 23 the top. Dover showers, 22. Ouse, 25. Launceston partly cloudy, 28 degrees. Devonport sunny, 24. Scottsdale, 25. A sunny day for Burnie, 25. Strawn an early shower or two, 22 the top. Stanley sunny, 24. A shower or two for St Helens, 23. Swansea, showers clearing, 21. Ross, 26. UV, very high across the state. Looking ahead to Tuesday now, a fine day apart from possible morning drizzle about the southeast coast. Wednesday, hot with light showers in the east and north, contracting to the northeast in the evening. And it's looking to be a hot one on Thursday with morning showers in the northeast and some rain extending from the west in the afternoon. Around the country tomorrow, a sunny day for Perth, 29 degrees. Adelaide, cloud clearing, a top of 28. A possible shower for Brisbane, 28 also. Sydney, showers, 26. And an early shower clearing to a top of 22 degrees for Melbourne.
Well, that's all your news for now. Join Joe Palmer and the team tomorrow night at 6. Thanks for joining us. Good night.
And we shared our ideas together. We even decided that despite our limited